deal is, okay, thing number one. How many people read and understood the new contribution plan? 4 people. Okay. All right. So. Okay. The plan is a response to problems. The problem is, if we want to socialize bike logistics, we need to have an interaction with bike logistics organizations. We can't assume that there's good guys and bad guys, and we're going to work with the good guys. If we are an organization whose goal is to politicize, that happens in a context of a relationship. So there needs to be a level of CoopCycle that is accessible to people, very easy to enter. And we have a specific line where you can't be at all. Amazon cannot be part of CoopCycle, right? But that line is pretty clear. And we all know, for me, the way I describe it is, are you trying to have other people work for you so you don't work, or are you working collaboratively with others? Sounds a bit vague, but everywhere I've been, it's been very clear who is who. And everyone knows who is who. Give him a minute. So a formal version of that process would be a qualitative analysis of the organizations in CoopCycle. This means we would sit down with people the way we do in Erasmus Plus, for example, and talk about what is your workplace democracy like now? What goals do you have for next year? What are your challenges? What are you trying to do better? And if 5 years later they have the same problems and they still suck, and we get the feeling they're just making up shit, then we vote to kick them the fuck out. Specifically with contribution, so if we are doing that well over here, right now I'm going to assume we're doing that well. So we're just talking about the contribution. We wanted to make the pricing easily understandable to outside organizations. So, for example, right now, or a year ago, I'm Paul, I want to start a bike delivery thing, and I want to use the software. And I say, psych, how much is it to use your software? They say it's 50 euros, you get 2,000 orders a month. You ask CoopCycle, and CoopCycle says, I need to see your financial documentation from last year to do a calculation about how much you earned, minus your administrative hours, minus your grants, and then multiply it by 2.5%. As you can imagine, for many projects, they were like, what the fuck? This makes, I don't know what to do with that. Also, there were projects who said, well, I have a bike mechanics thing. Are you going to take 2.5% of my bike's mechanics thing? And we were like, yes. And there was good reasons for that. I understand why that happened, right? The idea was, we're building up a thing together. It's not just a software, and we're all going to contribute. But in practice, it wasn't working. So, the proposal is, oh no, that part we don't need. Yeah, it's the funnel bit. The proposal is to have a funnel that is year 1, years 2 to 5, and then years 5 plus. In year 1, minimum contribution. It was before 500 euros per year. If we do it by month, that was like 43.3 repeating. So we said, okay, 40. 40 euros a month. Plus tax. Yep.
It means for any size of this year 1 when you enter CoopCycle.
Yep. Perfect. The idea we had was, if I'm Paul making a new bike thing, I have no money, and I'm really busy trying to do my thing for the first time. So we give you a very cheap option. If you are a cooperative of 60 people that is using Urbans and you want to move to CoopCycle, it's going to take a lot of work to move everything to CoopCycle. And to reflect the fact that will be very, very, very hard for you. It will require many hours, 40 euros a month. After 1 year, we will have done one assessment, or 2 assessments, one when you enter, one the yearly review, and it would turn into a price per point model. The idea is that CoopCycle hopefully will do many things, but when people begin, they will begin by using the software. And so let's not make a really complicated thing that involves how do we finance grants and how do we finance commercial and all this other shit. Let's just, at the beginning, let's just talk about software. So we started by saying 1 price per point. Problem is, food tech and last mile are very different, both in how much effort we have to use for it in a software way, and also on what type of margin it has. So we made the proposal of 12.5 cents for last mile and 25 cents for food delivery. This is for a few reasons, also things to consider. 1, it's easy to make this math. I don't need your financial books from a year ago in a language I don't speak. And then we have all the thing in CoopCycle. We make a column, we sum it, we multiply it by a number, we're good to go. So we can do monthly payments. The idea is then, the second category is people who are beginning to be involved in CoopCycle, but maybe are still in development, or maybe are not politically, democratically super strong yet. And so we're not asking for anything more than to be involved. Be on Slack, or now maybe it's Discord. Come to the General Assembly. If there's a big thing, be somewhat interested. After 3 years, and with a maximum of 5 years, become a full member. And what that means is, we both make the price go down by 20%. So now 10 cents per last mile, and 20, wait, it was 15, right?
Yeah, it was 30 and 15, and then 25.
Alright, I made the numbers wrong.
You were talking about contribution
right.
free.
So in the second category, sorry, I said no, 30 cents and 15 cents. And then in the full member, 25 cents and 12.5 cents. And we also expect the organization to dedicate time to CoopCycle. We came to this conclusion based on the question, where does the value come from in CoopCycle? Where is it generated? Obviously, there's a lot of coordination, and there's programmers, and there's a commercial person, there's all these things. But the base value, the material everything comes out of, if you're mining the material, it's the cooperatives. The only reason we have good incident management software today in CoopCycle, because we had a bunch of experienced bike messengers explain how to do good incident management. And then we made that a reality. If no one explained us how to do that, we would have bad incident management software. So in the future, this may look like doing commercial activity in France. Or it may look like going to logistics events and being super professional and putting on a tie and representing CoopCycle. Maybe it means participating in a grant. But in the beginning, it probably would a lot be helping debug the software, helping workshop new features, help us make the technology be good. But it could be any type of thing. What's important is that maybe the board of directors or at the GA to decide what is the work this year that is useful to CoopCycle we want people to contribute to. It's not like I want to draw a picture of someone and it's nice. Right? But I want to draw a picture of Aywaille and I donate to CoopCycle and there we go. Now I don't pay contribution. So we moved from a situation of low implication and pretty give me 40 euros or sort of dynamic into a situation where we expect things in regards to participation and involvement and the price goes down. So we have a couple things to talk about. One is that these prices are based on Northern Europe. For example, in the Iberian Peninsula, the highest anyone gets paid for last mile delivery with a DHL, with a DB Schenker, with those people, is 160 per package. So 15 cents of €1.60 is not happening. The same thing also happens with the whole thing everywhere. Like we take this model to Colombia and they can't pay this. Long term, there's potentially the solution where each region can be self-financing. Right. CoopCycle Mexico has Mexican programmers, so they can self-fund that programming, so we don't have to worry about the price difference. But now we don't have that problem. Again, we're thinking in a way that's progressive. Let's move towards more collaboration. Let's make something better this year, and the next year we'll make it better and better and better. So right now we don't have CoopCycle Mexico with Mexican programmers, and CoopCycle Colombia with Colombian programmers, and CoopCycle Japan with Japanese programmers. So we need to find a way. So we want to maintain this framework of the funnel and the price per point. That is our hope. So we want to start from zero. Please do not. But we need to figure out a fair and just way to make this work in other locations, and we need to think about what to do with last mile providers that are very badly paid, because they also exist in France. Chronopost is a piece of shit. It pays very little. Sorry, we're live streaming. Maybe I hope Chronopost isn't listening. And thirdly, what was the thirdly? Right. How do we? How much time do we ask for people? Do we ask? The proposal was 1 day a week, 1 labor day a week, and maybe for Erman, where we're 25 people, that's something we can do. But in Be Fast, if we ask you for 1 work day a week, I think you tell us to not. Nope, that's not happening. So how do we manage that tension as well? Because there's 2 answers. One is We change how much time we ask from people depending on their size. The other answer is that we expect after 3 to 5 years from now, not 3 years ago, people will be able to do that. And maybe we have to change it in years for some people. But for right now, we want to expect that in 3 to 5 years, cooperatives are stable enough and big enough to dedicate 1 hour a week, 1 day a week. That's sort of the overview. Questions?
Can you quickly explain what you mean by asking co-ops for time, for working time a week and so on? What do you mean by this?
So the proposal is that CoopCycle defines a list of professional, useful activities. Like I said, right now I think most of those would likely be development related with the technology. But in the future, onboarding is a great example. Maybe PR and marketing, right? Like maybe a cooperative can run the Instagram for us.
Or be in an event.
You know what?
Attend to an event.
Attending events, yeah. So there's some some activities would likely be ongoing. Some might be spontaneous, but we would coordinate work that cooperatives are doing off of a list of things that we said we needed to do.
I have a question because I think like when it was done at the presentation, we have a misunderstanding with Aywaille. Because the goal overall is just to have this pricing, and I know in the marketing Obin's workshop we will discuss about commercial acquisition. So this pricing is supposed to fund all the activities of CoopCycle, or there are an inflow of money from each department.
I credit Nuri from Ensaka's with adding the framework that as much as social economy and we all love each other and this is great, at the end of the day, software has certain costs we need to cover, and we were thinking at it 100% from the social side, and we should start maybe from the idea we have to pay for certain things and then go towards social. So the idea is that this is a pricing model for the technology. And everyone would have access to the other things the Federation does, of course, but we have to find a different financing mechanism for commercial that is unrelated to this one.
Okay.
Just to add, to respond to this question also, the idea of all the departments we present at the online GA, and that we will discuss again this week, is that every department should be self-sufficient because it's separated person doing separating job, and also they're doing job for some of us, but not all the federation. So we can't make the German pay for acquiring clients in France. So it was easier to make the contribution fund what is used by everybody, and the departments financed by who is using them.
¿No sería igual como solución de algo más justo un tanto por ciento en vez de un precio cerrado?
Wouldn't it be more just to use a percentage instead of a flat fee? Maybe. We started from the idea of we need to cover like servers cost the money that servers cost, no matter what how much you're delivering. Like a task has on CoopCycle has an economic value, right? Like you could take the budget of maintaining CoopCycle for a year, divide it by the tasks done that year, and you'd have a number. And if we get that much money or more, then we're good. And if we get less, we have a problem. So I'm just saying, I'm not saying it's the right way to go. I'm just saying that that's why we put a flat fee. We could turn these flat fees into percentages. The downside to that is I want to be able to take Urban's, Psych, something else, and CoopCycle. And have it be very clear what's the difference that I'm being charged as a new member. Right? We put a percentage, you have Autobahns in sight, 10, 12, and here you have a percentage of a thing you don't know what it will be. Maybe we could do something where at the beginning it's a flat fee and then it turns into percentage, or
Cada vez también se me ocurre tener como diferentes maneras de contribuir. Tú puedes hacer todo esto como calculado, pero tú presentas un proyecto de subvención.
could you try in English?
¿Cómo?
Could you try in English?
Mi, no,
Él sí, él
Ah,
puede
ya,
hablar en inglés.
ya.
How do we want to do Spanish to English, Alejandro?
So I translate in English.
I'm asking, ¿cómo quieres hacerlo? Que yo puedo
Lo
decir,
más fácil sería que lo dijeras tú y luego lo de aquí es que ya...
vale,
Si no te molesta, te cansas me lo dices.
vale. Con esto sí, francés no. So, Raul said that we could also talk about different ways of contributing. So, for example, if someone finds or gets or manages a large grant for CoopCycle, that would be something to take into consideration in regards to this. My response would be, that's the timing. Like managing grants could be part of the time we expect from members.
A través de mi financiación como cooperativa local, yo puedo darle dinero a CoopCycle a través de una factura por una faena que tenga que hacer CoopCycle. X.
So I can also end up,
Es una entrada a través de un servicio.
so yeah, I can find a grant or a service from local government and pay CoopCycle through that instead of paying for it through my members.
The last point of that is good.
What?
It's the last exchange, final conclusion is that it can also be good, this system, to pay at the task, to charge it to clients, or public clients or stuff like that. Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
So you mean like anyone?
In my opinion it is, and I don't know if it was what you were also saying, for me it's good to have a price per point or per task or order, because it can be a bit easier charged to client, even more to public client. Yeah.
So you're proposing we have price per point, and for non-members we have one price, and for members we have a lower price.
I like this.
So I'm confused. Can you say what you want to say again? I'm not sure I understood.
I like this system, and I'm just saying that this new system is also good sometimes when you want to charge a client to say, look, we have this kind of fee on your
Oh,
Yeah.
you mean when you talk to a flower shop?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because this amount, it's even more for big clients, like for big clients it's even better,
Like BMB or
and also public services you do like fee detailed.
Yeah, at least you should include it in your price, even if it's not transparent for the clients. You can for some, but it's not a good idea for the big one, for example. But at least you can consider it's a need in your pricing to take into account that this is what you will give back to CoopCycle
Yeah.
to do the job.
I think it's a good thing in this way because sometimes it was a bit difficult to calculate the exact amount of cotization to CoopCycle at the end of the year. With that, we know that if you pay more, it means you have also more directly more orders.
I think like as a little insight, like one thing that is like that you kind of cut into but to make it like very clear, there is a very clear idea of transparency and liquidity for the two sides that are involved, for CoopCycle as well as for the local co-op. You know what you're going to pay in a month, depending on how well your month is going. So you are kind of participating with a sort of percentage. Let's anticipate you are well higher than the 40 euros anyway, so probably 150, 200 euros, but 200 euros in a good month and 150 in a not so good month. And at the same time, once the month is over, CoopCycle can write you an invoice and you have a normal time for the invoice to pay, which increases massively. Many of you have gotten contribution notifications this year, and it's a complicated forth and back process, signing papers, constant. That is a big job. Going forth and back, and trying to agree to an amount, and then you say like, yeah, but it was okay last year, but now it's not going well, and finances. And yes, you should be responsible for your own bookkeeping in a careful way. But this eliminates a lot of risk on the co-op side, and at the same time, it eliminates a lot of liquidity risk on the CoopCycle side, and also it eliminates a lot of paid working hours. That means the total cost on the CoopCycle side will be either decreased or the capacities can be reallocated into other activities.
Maybe what I think is missing is like what we want to pay for in the end is a whole set of services, like for example the software, but I guess this money we get from the software is also paying for the training of new co-ops, like the Erasmus Plus thing. So, but how do you, what will be, how do you, I don't know, I think for the existing system, it's very clear like that the percentage pays for everything we try to develop, like educating people to cooperative movement, training new co-ops that are like in different countries, and there are two guys from Namur and we pay for them, like existing co-ops pay for them. So in the new system, what will pay for this? Is this or is this something else? And how do we make clear to new members or like people that want to enter the federation that entering the federation is not paying for the software but paying for all of this?
So the idea that the contribution will pay for all the things CoopCycle does has never been true in the history of CoopCycle. Right, sure. But the fact that the percentage of the 2.5 of the thing of the whatever, like,
No, sure.
the idea behind this is right now Erasmus Plus is or training or whatever, onboarding almost, is funded by the EU, and if we get another Erasmus Plus grant for next year, then great. It's funded for again for 2 or 3 years. And if not, then we should have a conversation about can we fund this, how, whatever. But that's part of why we wanted to sort of make it compartmentalized, right? Because it's unclear to everyone what is that 2.5 actually paying for. Because it's not paying for the training. It never did because we didn't have any until we had the Erasmus Plus. So like this is like, okay, we want to do this. How do we pay for this? We want to do that. How do we pay for that? And if we get to a point where the contribution is paying for more than we need for the software maintenance or basic what we're doing, well then we have this, at that next assembly we say, look, we have positive numbers. Do we invest it in this other thing? Do we lower contribution for next year? What do we want to do? For me, it's really important to remember we're making a decision here that is applicable for a minimum of 1 year, or an emergency assembly, but probably for 1 year. It will be somewhere else a year from now, we'll probably make some changes to whatever we're doing. So, that would be what I would.
It's kind of a detail, but I think it would be nice to have on the platform a place where you can follow the increasing of the bill.
The what?
How many points you made? How many tasks you made this
Ah.
month?
And directly how it will cost. And do we agree as well that failed tasks are not taken in account?
That is a great question.
Because if you
I don't know.
I mean,
What does logo do?
no, maybe.
A failed task, does it count in the total of tasks?
At
Yeah,
least the concept task, of course.
What is logo?
Concept task
It's
is not
a
done.
question, but it needs to work.
There are several ways how a failed task could be seen. What is a failed task?
Yeah, no, but at least that concept task
Yeah.
works well, that's not taken into account.
A cancelled task in Robo is deleted,
And no charge.
archived, not charged.
Yeah, we need to be able to test some stuff, like if you're testing, you cancel the task.
Yeah, I would. It seems like cancel tasks should not be charged. I'm also not worried about people canceling all of their tasks because either you're using the software or you're not. like our job is to make good software that you want to pay for. So,
I'm not sure if this is like from my personal experience. I'm not sure if this is extremely relevant. Like most of the cancel tasks that we have is something where we are on the way. If we are on the way, we are going to charge.
I'm not talking about orders. I'm talking about I import 100 tasks, I did a shitty thing, I cancel the whole bunch of
no.
tasks.
no, you're right. It's like
No,
if
you mean like you uploaded, like you created the task and you don't want to do it and you delete it.
Yeah, it's cancelled.
But you talk
It
about
should-
failed,
it should-
failed, not cancelled.
I mean, like, the phase-
thing,
I thought you meant the task.
You
that
go
you-
to the
let's put it this way. Let's talk about orders that you get paid for or not. Just because there's failed is an old concept in CoopCycle. I think most people don't know what you mean when you say failed. No problem. But there's orders in CoopCycle where maybe they said we failed it, but I still charged them money because I was halfway there. That would be one you pay CoopCycle for.
Yes.
But if you cancel a task for tomorrow because they called you before and you don't want to charge them and it's all good, no one does anything, then you don't pay CoopCycle for that order,
Any cancel task?
and it's fine. So, does that make sense?
Cancelled task or order.
Yeah, exactly. Alright, so I would go like thing by thing. Number one, question. We have a framework, we go from less involvement to more involvement, higher charge to lower charge. Does everyone agree that that is a good model? Okay, right now we demonstrate the charge as a fixed fee. Do we want to use fixed fees or percentages?
Fixed fees are easier to understand.
Cannot be.
You mean for the first one? Or
In general,
Fixed fees since there are.
c'est fixe par point.
Ah,
Drink too much water.
Because then for local commerce, was it? Is it gonna be,
ça c'est fixe pour moi. Ça c'est pas fixe.
if it's percentage,
Ouais. Oui, non, mais c'est je-
even on food tech, it's gonna be less because it's gonna depend on every.
Why don't, you know what? Since we're actually doing explicit questions now, I'm going to wait a minute, let people integrate, and then translation set up, blah, blah, blah. Veo muchas caras castellanohablantes. He pasado mucho tiempo explicando el concepto de la contribución. Como si quieres se puede hacer un repaso rápido de nuevo. Vale. I'm going to do like a quick run through in Spanish for a lot of people who just came in. Alright. Y hemos ido a... I'm sorry, I'm gonna... y ahora estamos como yendo punto por punto. Acabo de preguntar si el concepto de que se espere más de las cooperativas con el tiempo y que se baje lo que contribuyen en dinero es un formato, es un marco con lo cual estamos de acuerdo. Ha dicho todo el mundo que sí. Ha dicho, vale, pues entonces el parte del dinero está bien como un fijo o queremos que sea un porcentaje, porque Raúl mencionó tal vez un porcentaje es más justo y tal. Y entonces pues, creo que fijo está mejor. Es que ahora rápidamente voy a hacer, sorry guys, we're going to do 3 to 5 minutes in Spanish because I'm going to do what we just talked about really fast in Spanish. Okay. Antes tuvimos la contribución en que se hacía un cálculo de 2,5% de lo que es tu ingreso anual menos una serie de costes, incluyendo costes administrativas y no laborales, es decir, tu alquiler, tu tal, no sé qué, menos lo que percibes en subvenciones. Todo ese cálculo por 2,5% a lo que tú pagas en CoopCycle. Es una locura basada en la idea de la seguridad social francesa. Lo cual hacía imposible decir a una persona que entra cuánto va a pagar en CoopCycle, porque necesito tus libros financieros del año pasado antes de cualquier cosa. Poco locura. También he pensado que eso iba a financiar todo lo que hace CoopCycle, no solo la tecnología, pero educación, como todas esas cosas. No lo estaba haciendo. También mucha gente, pues yo tengo, por ejemplo, un taller de bici. ¿Me vas a cobrar de eso también? Sí. Complicado. Entonces, pasamos esto una serie de conceptos. Queremos que CoopCycle sea posible de entrar para proyectos nuevos. Vale, Sainz está por ahí. La primera idea es que queremos que sea fácil de entrar y que tenemos otra actividad que es un análisis cualitativa de las cooperativas y proyectos, a ver cómo van. Que cada año en la asamblea preguntamos, ¿cómo quieres democratizar el espacio del trabajo en que estás? ¿Cómo son tus objetivos? ¿Qué tal fue el año pasado? Y si vemos después de 3 años que nos están mintiendo o que no lo están tomando en serio, pues ya se habla de echarles y ya está. Pero es formalizar el sistema en que tenemos ya relaciones y confianza o no y tal, y sabemos lo que están cumpliendo o no con los valores que presenté al principio. Imaginamos que eso está funcionando bien. Es que ahora estamos hablando de cómo hacemos toda esta parte, de lo que esperemos de los proyectos y cómo pagan. Entonces, al principio, en un año, es un proyecto nuevo que no tiene dinero, hay que empezar toda una cosa, o es una empresa grande que está cambiando todo su sistema de un software a otro, que es un lío total. Con lo cual, 40 euros al mes. Listo. Ya está. Y no esperemos mucho, esperemos que hagas que tu cooperativa medianamente funcione, o lo que sea. Después de un año ya estás en miembros prospectivos en que se paga por punto. Esto es para que se pueda comprar Urbans, Site, tal, el otro, pues CoopCycle. ¿Cuánto cobra comparado con los demás? Hicimos una distinción entre comida domicilio y última milla o comercio local, porque los márgenes son muy diferentes y también porque la cantidad de informática que hace falta para hacer comida domicilio es mucho más allá que la parte de última milla. Hay una parte de pago, hay gestión del cliente, hay toda la UI, UX súper bonito, es que es mucho más cosas. Y ya estamos esperando que la gente se involucre un poco, que venga a la asamblea, que participen en unas clases online si las tenemos, pues no gran cosa, pero que estén como aquí, involucrados. Después de año 3, y se tiene que ser como límite en el final de año 5, que se convierten en miembros totales full, lo que lo quieres llevar, en que la contribución baja un 20% y que esperemos ya que la organización participa activamente en la creación de valor de la federación. ¿Eso qué significa? Significa que CoopCycle en la asamblea o desde el consejo rector se define una serie de actividades que son valorosos para CoopCycle, por ejemplo, buscar errores en la plataforma y ayudar a resolverlos, explicando a los informáticos qué es el problema, o hacer captación comercial a nivel regional, o buscar resolución y llevarlo, o llevarlo a Instagram de CoopCycle, yo qué sé, y que esperemos que los proyectos hagan eso. Esa serie de tareas que habría que coordinar. Se habló de un día a la semana por proyecto, lo cual hay, así que ahora los problemas. ¿Qué problemas hay? Un problema es que en cuanto al trabajo efectivo ¿cómo se puede valorar que Herman tiene 25 personas y Fletcher tiene 2? Que si yo pido a Fletcher un día a la semana de trabajo, me vais a mandar un mail. Por otro lado, hay problemas geográficos. Estos números tienen que ver con precios del norte de Europa. Se puede debatir si eso es válido hasta para el Estado español. Y para Colombia ya ni hablamos. Y hay hasta características específicas. Que por ejemplo en Francia, en la última mía, hay proveedores que te pagan bien, a 7 euros por el reparto, y luego hay Chronocos que pagan como en el Estado español. Pero en el Estado español solo hay dos que como en el Estado español, que están entre 1 euro y 1,60 como máximo. Entonces no te voy a poder pagar 15 céntimos en 1,50 euro. Entonces tenemos que ahora hacer primero lo que pregunté es como si estamos de acuerdo con el plan general desde el funnel y tal y lo que sea, y hasta ahora todo el mundo ha dicho que sin problema. ¿Os parece? Vale, así que ahora ese es el plan. ¿Dudas que tienen? Que ahora vamos a hacer eso, una serie de preguntas de qué cambiamos o no en cuanto a la conclusión. ¿Preguntas?
Yo sí tengo una duda, que es algo que nos hemos planteado, porque también pensaba, bueno, yo voy a hablar sobre todo desde que estoy empezando. El fee performance no depende para nada de las personas, igual que la fuerza de trabajo que yo puedo aportar es menor, también el volumen de trabajo que nosotros tenemos es menor y el income es menor, ¿no? Entonces ahí no se hace diferenciación entre el tamaño que tiene cada puesto.
La idea era que no, porque la idea era que aquí habrían dos tipos de empresas. Uno es como Alejandro mañana quiere empezar en Vigo, una cooperativa de psicologística, y no tiene dinero y tiene que aprender cómo hacer todo esto, es una locura, con lo cual 40 euros es muy barato. Porque para cualquier software esto es más barato que cualquier otra vida.
Para nosotros sigue siendo bien 40 euros
Sí, sí.
con el trabajo que...
Sí. Y luego por otro lado puede ser que otra Airman quiere entrar de golpe en CoopCycle, pero otro Airman estará usando Urbans y tiene que cambiar todo a CoopCycle y eso es un trabajo flipante. Que he visto algunas solo vez Entonces, en su caso también están invirtiendo muchas horas para el CoopCycle, pues también tomamos eso en cuenta, pues un año, 40 euros. Y ya desde ahí somos todos aquí ya un poco más considerados, vamos a montar un precio real, que es esto. Eso era el
40
concepto.
euros más ya dependiendo de la facturación que tú hagas, aportar más o menos, ¿no? O sea, eso es lo que por orden aportas, así que dependerá un poco de tu facturación.
No, sería que el primer año, falta el mundo, es 40 euros y luego a partir de ahí sería por punto con un pago mínimo de 40. Como que si esperemos, tenemos la idea de que porque 40 euros no te llega muy lejos, ¿no? Entonces como que cualquiera que está un año debería ya de tener esa pequeña cantidad como para llegar a 40. Pero claro, ya eso, el mes 13, el nuevo Airman de repente va a ir de 40 a 400 o lo que sea, y Fletcher puede ser que ya es 42 o yo qué sé. ¿Más dudas?
¿Cómo sería la propuesta fija, perdón?
En el de 2 en Perspective era 15 céntimos más IVA, todos más IVA, 15 céntimos para autonomía o comercio local y 30 para comida domicilio. Cuando ya es alguien miembro full o lo que se quiere llamarlo, es bajo un 20%, que es 12,5 para autonomía y comercio local y 25 para comida domicilio.
¿No ha habido una contrapropuesta?
Explícitamente no hubieron dudas.
Vale, o sea, ya se ha manifestado, ¿no?, que esto es muy desigual, en el sentido depende de la actividad que hagas. Quiero decir,
Exacto.
es diferente si haces 3 paquetes por hora a 6 euros que si haces 15 paquetes a 1,50.
Sí, exacto. Sí, no hay está.
O sea, que penaliza según la actividad y muy probablemente según el país. Se ha dicho.
Sí, eso es lo que tenemos que arreglar. Sí, sí, justo.
Parlant de percentatge.
So I think the idea is really nice. I mean, and I think it can work. But instead of put a fixed price and to reduce these differences between the prices, for example, in, which we see in last mile, it's a bit €7 in France and 160 in Spain. We can do it as a percentage.
There's a what?
As a percentage.
Percentage.
Yeah.
So if we calculate 0.15 on €5 per delivery, it's a 3%. Okay, 160. 3% of 160 in case of Spain would be 0.05 more or less, and this would reduce that. So we are contributing the same percentage, but not the same amount. So as you say, we pay 0.15 for each delivery we make for last night. We close the cooperative the second day.
So, for example, one thing we could do, one of the reasons we separated food tech and other is because it's very easy to say in CoopCycle, is this coming through the sling or stripe? Food tech goes through stripe, and everything else does not. So it's very easy to make an Excel with the food tech, no food tech. If we were to differentiate between local commerce and last mile, how do we do that? Because we can make a percentage option, but then
that's the other point. For example, we are working with local commerce, local shops, and but our main activity is last mile, and we are not doing it by CoopCycle, which is not fair that another one who is doing last mile with CoopCycle is paying, and we are not paying. I mean, so I think we should all pay somehow, and then it's a question of trust. When I say, okay, my last mile deliveries as an average, we are invoicing 1.65 or 1.75, showing our figures, saying this is the average price. So from this average price, we have to apply the percentage.
So my problem with that though, we did talk a little bit about, we want to automate the process. Right now, the process was complicated and it was hard to calculate. You need your financial books, and so we're asking you for money 16 months later. So just to finish, whatever system we create, we did want to create a system where it can be automatically outputted. It doesn't need to have you call Remy and explain that this shop is that. So maybe you define it in the CoopCycle, I don't know, but just to keep that in mind.
No, we do not have the figures in CoopCycle. So there should be an option to include these figures manually in the system. I mean, because I have everything in my files, because I'm invoicing every month. So I have it clear how much are we earning per delivery in last mile, but not in CoopCycle. So I think there should be somewhere to introduce data from local codes about last mile.
This one?
Yeah. The problem with the percentage can be the other way around. If you make a percentage on, I don't know, I'm gonna be moving for an inhabitant, a big free fridge, whatever, I charge him like €50 to move this thing, blah blah blah. The most of the price is about the moving thing, the stairs, blah blah blah. 3% of €50 would be too much taking from the prestation the way around. Yeah. But I see the problem also with daily points.
So for example, we could have local commerce is a fixed fee of 15 cents, and then last mile is a percentage. But the problem I find with that is how do we define last mile?
que encuentro razón y es un problema lo que dice él, pero no sé si representa casos en menor medida puntuales que no al... A ver, pues estoy explicando más.
So often,
Que transportar en una hora una sola cosa es algo que puede pasarnos a todos, pero en menor medida que entregar 15 paquetes por hora. So it's a problem also, but it's not the same problem. Y la repercusión económica es menor cuando actúa igual de manera menos posible.
So pause. She said that, well, both of those are real problems. The problem of I have a giant fridge, I get 50 euros, is one that happens very infrequently. Whereas the problem of we have €1.50 per package, we do 15 an hour, that's a problem that many people experience very frequently. So we shouldn't put them on the same level. Sure.
So if I understand, the problem is not doing last mile or not, it's doing a task not well paid. So maybe you can define a plafond bas.
Bottom price, on the upper price, you could pay per order.
Yeah.
Like you can, like if it's 50 euro, 3% of 50 euros, and it represents 15 euros. Well, 15 euros and it's cut at 5. Upper bound, that's what. Bounds, okay.
yes, but
Is clear? No.
I'm not sure that's why
You can't pay
Just
more.
don't forget there's someone that tried to take notes of what we say, so if we just looking in all the way, he will just burn.
Just to explain, if it's a percentage of a big task, the price cannot go upper a limit.
That's not
Upper limit. No, sorry? Sorry.
Sorry. I just want to define un plafond bas.
minimum price for the lowest price task, a minimum fees for the lowest.
A minimum limit on
A
maximum.
fixed price for the lowest price.
Yes.
And a percentage for the lowest price and a fixed price for the task paid under this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Put some minimum and maximum in the same, but this assume that every task in CoopCycle would have a price related.
I am assuming that.
The case.
We are moving towards that. And
Yes, but
how many tasks right now don't have prices?
I mean, it can be like sometimes for disposal when you pay by hour prestation of attention.
Yeah.
For example, we're not choosing it for DHL because incidentally it wasn't effective.
Well, then you shouldn't pay for it.
But I have got the answer because it's not about having tasks or the bad paid search sale. It's just that if you do like 10, 20 tasks an hour, it's normal that it's paid not so much. But for this kind of task, it always starts from local, from one point. I mean, you get the thing at your place, and then you go deliver. I mean, this could be something like instead of having 50 cents per pickup or drop off.
And it's per drop off. So
And
for
it's just per drop.
for multiple drop off, it would, yes.
And then that would be some. It could be something like 10 cents per pickup and drop off. But if all the pickup are in the same place, it's still 10 cents for. Because for DHL, for example, you
Yeah,
get all
it's
your
per
package
point.
at the same place. You get them. You start from your local. So you pay just for one pickup at your place.
That is an interesting idea. Did everyone understand the idea? I don't think, I'm guessing. Okay, I'll say it once in English and I'll say it once in Spanish if I still see confused faces. The proposal here is we want to take into account that when there's many orders per hour, if we charge by order, it ends up being a very high price. So the proposal would be that one pickup and one drop off is, for example, 15 but one pickup and 50 drop-offs is also 15, or maybe every drop-off only adds a little bit. And so when DHL comes and gives you 50 packages, it's understood as 15 plus 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, not 15, 15, 15, 15, 15, 15. But if it's a local commerce order, it's from a flower shop to that place, it's 15. And then a different place to a different place, it's 15. Does that make sense? Sigue siendo fijo,
O sea que sigue,
como él lo dijo.
o sea, estamos diferenciando la última milla de comercio local, pero el problema que decíamos en cuanto a la última milla sigue siendo el mismo.
No, ya no, porque tú solo estarías pagando para como hay una recogida, no estarías pagando 15 por entrega, sería menor. Sure. Just making sure that we all, yeah, okay, looks like not confused faces. Yep.
So this is a system that does exist on the dispatch app market, and it is basically a system that the 12.5% on the longer term have been derived from. So logo. So that you would probably, as a company having previously used the one, now changing to CoopCycle, you would end up more or less at the same amount that you would pay. The danger is though that if a dispatch software that has a lot of features, obviously everybody wants to save money, so you start accumulating orders in order to have like a bracketed order. So that is possible. People do that, but then the price needs to be different than 15 cents, because otherwise the 40 euros of base fee could theoretically contain 4,500 euros orders, and your business is going super well, but you pay CoopCycle 40 euros and the federation is about to die. So it's like, that is a possibility, but this possibility needs to include that the base price increases by a quite large percentage.
Understood? Spanish? It's okay. Just to be clear, when he said bracketed, he's using Lobo software. So what they're doing is they're putting 5 pickups and 5 drop-offs in one order, and it's not really one order. But Lobo thinks it's one order, so it's cheaper.
Yeah.
Another thought about the fact the contribution model is designed by paying each drop-off. Maybe it fit with the reality today, but yesterday you said we are considering the first mile for few cups in the federation for the future, and then first mile is pick up lots of stuff and drop in once at a hub. So it changed the configuration of that kind of model price, I think.
Good point.
I said to you a few months ago, but you said it's not the time to say that.
And now it is. Now it is.
But isn't it like, I mean, what would be the problem to changing to a stop unit? Like, okay, CoopCycle is and wants to work with pickups and drop-offs. If people think that's needed, that's one different topic, fine. But contribution-wise, they could be seen as stops no matter where or how they are. That would solve the problem.
I think maybe to add on that, exactly, Tituan said that the pickup that is at your warehouse is almost no work, or I think you said that?
Yeah, but you are not really paid per pickup in your warehouse, you are paid about picking up here and drop it off somewhere.
For last mile, you have like just a giant pile of pickup a lot of drop-offs that are
No, it could be the other way around.
Yeah. But that's why stops is the same. Like pick up or drop off, it's same time, same place. You merge them. But I think it will be a bit.
So, for example, an actual practical application would be, we could say every point is 7 cents. And in Mensaka's example, all of the pickups you have are 1. Because it's one physical location, it's one pickup. And then in practice, you're paying 7.0005 cents per order, because it's 7 per drop-off and 1 shared point in pickup. And then if you do first mile, it would end up being the same thing, because you have pickup, 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 and then 1 physical location for all the drop-offs. And for a florist, for example, if they in the morning consolidate and say pickup, 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 drop off, drop off, drop off, 4 charges, or they do 1 and then oh shit, and later they say 2, and then it's oh wait, later 3, then it's 6 points because it's the same space but they're separated in time.
Yeah.
So you've done 3 orders.
Another view on this would be, because there is something, and I think this will increase in the following years, that is called reverse logistics. So it's several pickups and 1 drop, probably whatever it is. And also people want to probably assign like a simple internal task, like take the key to this customer but bring the key back, but we don't want to pay for this. Simple solution would be charge, like keeping a per stop or per unit kind of charge, eliminate the per drop or per pickup, but per unit, and just charge -1. So whether you have 5 pickups and 1 drop, you pay 5 and not the 1, or you have 1 pickup and 5 drops, you pay 5 and not the 1. So the general calculation would be a -1. You can keep the unit price. It's simplified. Problem solved.
But then apply that to local commerce and it doesn't.
Why not? Then it would still be the drop-off fee.
But the whole point here was to have a distinction between local commerce, which has a usual price between 5 and 10 euros, and last mile, which has a nominal price of 1 to 1.5 euros in some places. We want to differentiate how much we're charging in those 2 situations.
I think the real problem is between clients where you do less than 8 points an hour and clients where you do more than 8 points an hour. I'm saying 8 points because sometimes it can go to like 60 points for transporters and less for tech, like 3 to 60. So 8 is kind of the middle. I finally think that the merging pickup stuff could be quite difficult in the techniques, but that maybe we could like fairly say, because contracts where you do more than 10 points an hour are kind of special contracts. I mean, we could, okay, my proposal is that we could work quite with confidence inside of CoopCycle, where you say this client is a client with more than 10 points an hour, and we trust in each other, and this client is a client who do less than 10 points an hour. You just have a little less fee if it's more than 10 points an hour. So for DHL and because things like this, instead of being 20 or 15, it's going to be 10. But what we could do on top of that is still maybe make a little difference in the fees for countries, saying that Spain is 10% less than France.
Sure, so So really, first we want to figure out the theoretical framework, which includes a differentiation or not with local commerce and last mile. And then we need to talk about geography. So,
just to finish with my idea, but I think it would be quite simple, this system, because I think it will not be so many clients with which you do more than 10 points an hour. It's just with last mile transporters and a few other things. And it could be quite easy for CoopCycle salary to make little audits from time to time, seeing in the Coop, okay, they work with DHL, Chronopost, okay, this is more than 10 points an hour. But like it's quite easy to control and to work with the...
O sea, yo creo que, no sé si iba yo, me estoy colando, puede ser, ¿no? No lo sé. Bueno, es decir, que no solo los países, es decir, en algunos países, como en el caso de la paquetería y la última milla en España se paga peor, pero no solo penalizas países, penalizas la actividad. Es decir, intentas que cierta actividad haya cooperativas que prefieran no pasarla por CoopCycle, porque el sistema de contribución las penaliza. Entonces, para mí el punto es ese, podemos ver la situación de cada país, pero más allá de que unas dinámicas se den más en unos países que en otros, en todas partes habrá un tipo de cliente y un tipo de actividad de última milla que con un sistema de contribución de fijo penalizará más o menos. Entonces, y en Mensacas pasa, cuando repartimos el periódico no lo pasamos por CoopCycle, porque no tiene sentido a 0,55 que tienes que hacer 30 entregas por hora pasar por.
So you were saying it's important to keep under consideration that it's not only a geographic region, that yes, in some places package delivery pays worse than in Spain than in France, for example. But whatever the geographic region, what we're deciding will penalize certain activities more than others, which then incentivizes cooperatives to work in one activity or another.
And what if we put in the contribution system solidarity system related to this kind of activity, which is not well paid when you deliver a parcel for last mile companies? It's hard to be profitable. So what if we built a contribution system to exclude from the contribution system the tasks related to last mile activities? You want to answer or translate? Okay. And maybe if a Coop doing last mile and other activity, it's simple to calculate, but maybe it's 100. A Coop make 100% last mile. Maybe we can build a flat fee or a fixed fee, an amount by month, for example, related to this kind of activity. I think this is a way to make us. I can't explain that in English. Je pense que c'est un moyen de nous rendre solidaires par rapport à une activité qui est difficilement profitable. Si quelqu'un peut traduire en anglais.
I think people understood.
No,
C'est un moyen de rendre solidaire.
He said that for some activities you can like kind of fill up a form, but asking for a special system, solidarity system, saying okay, delivering newspaper or parcels for this client is really bad pay. We still want to do it, but it's not included in the CoopCycle system, fee system, like a solidarity system for this kind of activity client really not well paid.
Me traduce rápido que normalmente, y si hablamos de paquetería en el caso de España, ¿no? Porque estamos hablando de una cuota solidaria, pero no solo es un sistema que penalice con los clientes que te pagan mal. Puede ser que te paguen bien, pero que tengas que hacer muchas entregas por la hora. Cualquier servicio mal pagado o bien pagado que consista en hacer muchas entregas por hora este sistema lo penaliza. Y puede estar bien pagado porque hay clientes que entregamos, que sabemos que si entregamos 30 por hora está súper bien pagado. Y hay otros que igualmente sufres. Pero
Really want to say it's not about the amount per point, price regardless. Any activity that you do many per hour, you end up charging a lot to the cooperative as CoopCycle for it. And that's a way of incentivizing or penalizing certain types of activities. Now, Paul, I am personally very, sorry, Serge, 100% against that, because that, in practice, to me, is a subsidy to Chronopost. Because it's a subsidy to Chronopost, not the cooperative. Because Chronopost, what they're doing is not paying for what they should be paying for the activity. The same way when Koiki in Spain doesn't pay taxes for labor insertion and works with Seud, which is Spanish Chronopost, or they give in Donosti free office space to the person to work with Seud, it simply means that Seud is paying a price so low, we can't afford to hire people or pay for an office. The government is making up the difference. That's a subsidy to Seud, with us as an intermediary. And so I agree with you maybe with the local newspaper people, but if it applies to large multinational corporation work, we're trying to subsidize and make viable a non-viable activity. In my perspective.
Yeah.
People, yeah.
So I would like to raise a warning here to discuss very particular models of businesses in order to adapt a contribution pricing to them. We are going to have a diversification workshop tomorrow, and we will discover that there are a trillion billion ways to diversify your business, and there is absolutely no way that a software, be it a commercial software or a cooperative software, is able to adapt the pricing to each possible worldwide country-specific business case. In my opinion, the proposition as is, probably per unit instead of per drop-off, is a pretty good idea, and if there are country-respective percentage scaling in prices saying like, I don't know, you pay 15% less when you're from southern Spain because, debatable in my eyes, but okay. But I think business case specific pricing is something that no software can offer, and it, like, we would have to hire so many new programmers that then the prices for everybody else would have to rise. So I think this is a dangerous thing, and I think you have to consider that each corp is still responsible for bringing their business to a point where it is sustainable and where the deliveries are paid accordingly, pricing in the software that you are using.
Yeah, I also feel like I wanted to add that we don't want to lose out of sight that we're trying to simplify the contribution system for it to be a selling point to new members joining. So it shouldn't raise too many questions. People should be able to understand it quite simply. And so maybe, yeah, we just don't want to lose that out of sight. The more complex it is, harder it is to explain and to sell.
So we've run out of time. I don't think we have a good consensus here. Do we have is there a consensus that there's not a consensus?
It's moving forward.
Yeah, no, but we've run out of time. No tenemos tiempo para seguir. I don't think we have a consensus. Is that correct?
I think we have a formal consensus, but
Who thinks we have a consensus?
about what?
About the pricing.
The consensus is we have to contribute. That's a consensus, but we don't know the way. There is no consensus on that.
I think maybe I'm too optimistic, but that people like going through the process, it can be order price, But if there is two questions, I would say last mile, just not to say just last mile, I would say every type of activities where you do more than 10 points an hour, 10 points an hour, should maybe have a less, because then it will be very penalizing.
Okay, so I will ask the group, everyone please make a face or something. Do we want to differentiate between orders that are few per hour and many per hour to have a price differentiation? Do this if you think yes. We now have a differentiation between platform payment or not platform payment. Yeah? We are proposing here, in that corner, to also differentiate between orders where there's many per hour or little per hour. Do we want to make, and then we'll find a price. But do we want to make that differentiation? That does not sound like a consensus.
Yes. Yeah, but who does parcel deliveries here? And you don't want to differentiate.
No, I think we can find a price that is good for everything. If we start with separate each type of delivery we are making, it will be a fucking mess, because then we have to say, oh, but it's a price, but we love it, so it's a nice price, and then, oh no, but this price is the shitty person, so we can charge him a lot. And then we will have the same things in Argentina, in Spain, in Germany, in France. And as we grow, we need to find some way to make it like easy to understand and easy to put in place. If not, it won't work.
So in this case, the format we have now is that this is ended. We do not have a consensus. We need a working group.
Yeah.
We need between 3 and 5 people who will, in another time and space, tonight, tomorrow, after this conversation, try to come up with a proposal that reflects a response to these concerns.
We don't have time made for this? For refining the proposition?
Special time, not
More. There's also time then, but a lot of things we're going to have.
No, we just.
Yeah.
No,
I think
we're starting later on Saturday just for this.
Yes, but I think, yes,
Yeah.
also that. So, who wants to be part of a working group to bring a proposal about contribution? Tuan, Nuri, More? Marina?
not Jerome?
No time.
Yeah.
Okay, that's 5 people. Great. Who's taking notes? Nadim?
Yes.
Can you write down the working group for this? Is Nuri, Titouan, David, Marina, and I'm forgetting someone.
I was.
And Nadim.
If I don't have to take notes.
Sure, but that's the working
No,
group.
we do the proposal, so
You
it's
will have to take
Great.
yeah, but in a different way.
Okay,